and welcome to another episode of Chasing Creativity. This is Kiran Mandral. Today I have with me the multi-hyphenate Shweta Rohira. Shweta is an actress, she's a restaurateur, she's an artist and an Instagram influencer. Welcome to the show, Shweta.
Thank you so much, Kiran. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you here, and considering that we know each other for a while and we met on Instagram, it just feels appropriate to have you on the show where I'm talking about you being an influencer, of course, amongst other things. So, Shweta, it's a very interesting career trajectory. Acting, food, restaurants, book reviews, painting. So tell me, what is Shweta exactly? Who is the real Shweta in the midst of all this?
I think Shweta is an expressionist and she just uses all these forms in her way to express all of this. Because be it food, it's again art. Be it artist, you are expressing in a different form, like be it on Insta, be it on theatre. And even when I'm influencing, I'm spreading it in the form of art. So Shweta is an expressionist.
Lovely. How did acting happen to you, Shweta?
Oh, that was a coincidence. I really didn't want to get into acting. And in fact, there was this director producer that was a father-daughter story, and he was behind my life. And every time he approached me to play the daughter, I was like, I don't want to act. And then one day, I think after 2 months, I was walking by and I saw him. I said, oh, your movie's made. He said, no. It's going to be shot, and the father is going to be played by Kanwaljit Singh. I said, oh, can I play the daughter? Because I love him from the time I've been a little kid. I used to watch this Family Number One and I've loved him in Satya Pe Satta. So he's like, you didn't want to do it. I said, no, I want to just spend time with him. So can I do it? And that's how acting happened. And one followed the other, and then theatre happened.
So theatre followed acting. So that's quite a reverse trajectory by itself, because normally people do theatre and then they get into acting. So you sort of changed the norm.
I did the short film, which follow the theatre. It was the other way around for me.
When you were acting in movies and the visual medium, not theatre, apart from theatre, that's a very different space from theatre. Then you go into theatre, which is a different space altogether, because it is live right now, audience reaction immediate, your response is immediate, you can't do cut and retake. How did you train for this?
I think I really enjoy theatre because the best part is it's like my Insta lives that I do. Everything is on the go. There is no second take, just like life. And when I was supposed to do theatre, I was obviously super nervous because I was performing with the stalwarts of theatre, the director being Bharat Dabholkar and my father, it was again a father-daughter story. And everyone thought I was only doing father-daughter stories, be it short films or be it theatre. So everyone thought how the veteran actress Nirupama Roy had become the mother. For everyone. I might become the daughter.
Sarvajanik daughter.
Sarvajanik daughter. Father-daughter story hai, Shweta ko bol do. She's going to be a part of it.
Cute hai, chulbuli hai, fit ho jayegi.
And that's exactly all my roles are. I am actually playing me. Even in That's My Girl, the theatre that we were doing, it was a father-daughter, and I felt I was me. I just had to say those lines that were written by the director. Otherwise, it was a lot like me. So it wasn't really putting up an act. It was just coming naturally. So yeah, it just happened.
It just happened. You didn't have to train for it?
We did train for 3 months because there was so much in theatre since there is no retake, And what I used to think is I had to learn only my lines. It was only later I realized that I have to learn the other person's lines also, because otherwise I don't know when to react and, have those expressions. So suddenly I realized where I thought, oh, I just have to learn my lines. And I'm like, no, I have to learn his lines. I have to learn everything, the moments, exactly, oh, you can go only till here, or you have to express in this way so that the entire audience can see besides the first 4 lines. So there was a good 3 months rehearsal for it, and I think still every show taught me a lot, and it was a continuous learning process.
And also the fact that, in film, I think you can dub. Now, of course, there's sync sound and whatever, but that gives you the leeway to, goof up on your lines on set and, get it retake. But in theatre, project your voice, say your lines. How is that? Because that's like another ball game altogether. You don't realize that your voice is also part of your acting basket, so to say. And it's only with theatre, I think, that voice becomes very important.
Voice is very, very important. So though I was lucky enough that we had a mic, but it then also what happens is when you're projecting your voice, you have to be very careful because the emotional scene I cannot be loud enough, but at the same time I have to be audible enough till the last row. So the whole voice acting became a very important part. And once I still remember, we were performing and the mic fell off,
Oh Lord.
and everyone's looking at me and I'm like, oh shit, I don't know what to do, but I can't stop. So like Rajesh Khanna in one of the movies, how he has his hand completely like stuck, I just picked up the mic and I had the mic in my hand and I continued doing the entire play till the interval because I'm like, I don't think I can go
Off
and you know
stage.
off the stage or come back. And also in that play, I was literally like a hippie. So I had the dungri and I had a big bag and four more things. So there was no ways I would be able to go without a break of 10 minutes and set the mic again. But without the mic, I couldn't perform. So as it fell, I just picked up the mic and had. And theater teaches you to have a presence of mind because you know so many times so many things happen. But like Raj Kapoor says, the show must go on. So you then have to immediately come up with something. And all I could think was, okay, you know what, just pick the mic and continue till interval. So throughout the first half, I was holding the mic in one hand and I was doing everything else.
That's an important anecdote. The show must go on. Have there been any other such instances where, things have fallen apart, your co-actor has forgotten their lines, something has happened, you missed your cue, but the show had to go on?
So there's this dialogue there. So basically, in That's My Girl, the girl has come to confront her father after 16 years. And she wants to become an actress. The father is a writer. So she says, you know, you owe me and now you're going to make me an actress. As if, you know, that's the easiest way to confront. And there was this whole dialogue where he questions her that why have you come here? And she says to become an actress. And the whole dialogue follows that what do you mean by acting? So she's like, join the industry, the film industry, which other industry is like the industry. And she's like, you want to act? She's like, yeah, I mean, I don't mind doing television or anything like that, but yes. And this is a kind of a dialogue that goes on between the father and her. And I don't know what happened. We were a house pack show and I got lost somewhere. I went in some transition phase or what, I don't know. And Anand sir tells me, so you've come here to join the industry. And I'm looking at him and in my head, I'm like, what is wrong with him? If I had not come to join the industry, I wouldn't be doing theatre. Why is he looking at me like this?
Oh,
And
you
he-
forgot you were in the play, you thought you were in
and
a
I'm
normal
looking at
conversation.
him, and I'm like, huh. And then he realized that, okay, something is wrong with her today. So he walks up to me and he says my next dialogue, oh, you mean you've come here to join like the film industry because there's no other industry. So he's telling my dialogue from his. So I'm like, huh, na.
He's hoping to jog your memory,
Yeah.
but nothing's getting
Nothing.
jogged.
And I'm like, huh, na. And he comes and he's like, you mean you don't mind doing television? And I look and I'm like, yeah. And then from there came back. I don't know what had happened. So after that, Bharat sir was like, but at least thank God you didn't tell him what is wrong with you and all. You were like, huh. So after that, Bharat sir used to tease me. He's like, we can do this entire show in Hindi, Marathi and other languages also. Anand sir has to learn his dialogues and Shatal say, huh.
That's it.
And I don't know what happened. I got so much into the character that I completely forgot we are two different individuals. And I'm like, why would I be doing theatre? So I had a monologue going on. What's wrong with Anand sir? Not realizing it's me who's forgotten the lines.
How adorable. Anytime when you get into the role, like you're talking, you completely got into this character, has there been any time where you couldn't get into character? You couldn't identify with who you were playing, and that sort of made it difficult to do the role.
So, if there have been anything like that, I haven't taken up the story only because for me it is very important to connect to the character at some point. Like, there was a story that came to me, which is a father daughter story again, but the relation was such that I could not connect with it, so then I just didn't take it. So, for me, it is very important to like what I'm doing. Even if it is small or big does not matter, but if I'm giving it few hours or few months, I need to totally be in it so that I can give my 100% to it.
So you don't take it up as a challenge that I don't identify with this character, so I have to do it to sort of prove my acting skills to myself.
See, everywhere
Because that also happens sometimes.
it does, and everything that I've done has also been challenging because when I did my first short film, I don't count myself as an actor, so it was very challenging to understand the space and to perform. Like the character might be like me, but again, it's totally different. Like there, I was playing Pariniti, so it was a very different father-daughter story. So that is challenging enough. But if I have to take up that challenge, I have to like something about it. Otherwise, I am like, no, let's not waste each other's time, because everything is challenging, but that thing should be worth taking the challenge.
For you personally, yes. Are you a director's actor? Are you a method actor? What is your process of getting into character?
I am a totally director's actor. I play the muse. I will never go and check the camera or the lighting or everything. For me, it's like the director needs to tell me what he expects out of me, and I will just do that. And I will have my suggestions, which I will tell the director. If he wants it, then I will incorporate it. If not, I'm totally like this fresh clay, mold me the way you want for your thing.
Lovely. Have you been ever tempted to write and produce your own play?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all. I like, so for me, it's like I'm tempted to write a novel at some point, but to write and produce a play, no, because I don't want to. Like, for me, I just want to go there and enjoy that medium as an actor. The moment the curtain bell rings, I go on the stage and just do the stuff that people have told me to do. So I don't really want to write there. I want to write a book, but not a play.
Write a book and not a play. We'll come to the books later. Tell me about how painting came about.
So I've always enjoyed painting from childhood. I was not a athlete person, so I would always like to join hobby classes and all of that. In fact, there used to be these books that used to come, the World Book and the Childcraft book. So what today is a trend, do it yourself, was a part of Childcraft book. And I remember when I got the Childcraft book, the painting section, and there was this do it yourself. I took my nanny and I went in every house and I was like, koi bhi raddi hai to de do, and got all the scrap from all the houses in the building, which was like, we were a 7th floor building. So I had like almost 3 to 4 bags filled with scrap, and I made stuff out of it. And I think I was in 7th standard when I held my first exhibition.
Oh,
Everything
lovely.
was created from that. So painting has always been something that I've enjoyed as a hobby, to learn different kind of art and try and express myself, and that's how painting happened. But then commercially, it happened when a friend was opening a restaurant, and that time, obviously, like today, there is a herd of artists where you can find everybody's painting, and because of Instagram, everyone can reach anyone, kind of a thing. So she reached out to me and she said, Shweta, I want to do a painted restaurant. And I was like, I've never painted walls and all, painting a canvas. And she's like, it's us. Why don't you give it a shot? And if it works, fine. If not, we'll
Paint it
whitewash
over.
it. So I said, okay. And that's how commercially painting started for me.
So, what are the projects you've done commercially so far, painting wise?
So I painted a lot of restaurants. Like there's this cafe called Farmers Cafe. I had painted their entire restaurant. The second restaurant also, I've done paintings for there. Then there's this other yogurt bar called My Froyo Land. So they have this hand painted wings at every outlet of theirs for the selfie point. That is something I've painted. There was this other restaurant called Machana at Vashi, where I painted their entire walls and also the tables and everything. And there was another cafe called Quench, which again I painted the tables. So they had these hand painted tables where we had painted all games and all, like snakes and ladders and all of it. So yeah, these are some couple of things and a lot more that I've done.
So, I'm seeing a synergy here now between restaurants you've painted and you getting into the restaurant business. So, I know you worked, you were in partnership with a friend, and that's how it came about. But had you ever thought about restaurants? Were you a foodie of any sort? Did you train in food? How did restaurants happen out of the
I
blue?
have never trained in foods, but my nana comes from the hospitality line. He had a hotel called Basera in Nasik, and I've seen him do all of this. I always wanted to have a little cafe, because when I used to see, I saw this movie called Sarjan, and Madhuri Dixit had a little cafe which she used to run for her mom. And I used to see Sanjay come and paint for her. So as a kid, I was like, I'm going to have a cafe, and one day this is going to happen with me. But the cafe didn't happen right now. A restaurant itself happened. And when I got this opportunity, I didn't even realize, and I took it up, and then I started enjoying so much because there's so much to do. And I love the hustle. I love meeting people. And I've always been a foodie. I may not eat much, but I love to try new stuff. So that's how restaurants happened for me.
So, in the restaurant, what do you handle? What is your brief?
Usually I handle the PR part of it. I handle the customers and all coming. I also handle the chefs and everyone. I keep a tab on the food cost and the quality and everything. So basically, I do everything at the
Everything.
restaurant. Yeah, there's nothing like the times I've also, I think, taken orders on the table because we were short on staff. So I've even done that.
Lovely. Now, because this is a podcast on creativity, and food is also a creative process. What is your take on food and creativity?
I think food is like art, you know. Once you create a dish, you can't recreate it. Even if the recipe is same, it's there is a little difference. And food is something that connects everybody, just like creativity connects everybody. So for me, they feel the same. That's why, be it if I enjoy this line as much as my other stuff, is only because of that.
Okay, that's lovely. Now, another interesting path that you've taken is that of an influencer who reviews books. Were you always a bookie?
Big time. Like, because I was the only child for a very long time. My brother came in almost 10 years later. And I have always enjoyed reading because it never made me feel as if I was alone. I would love going to the library, and I think sometimes when your first times are interesting, you tend to enjoy it more. So I remember joining this library right next to my house, and I had got attached to this Sweet Valley collection. And I think I've read their entire thing. Like, I grew up with them from the Sweet Valley books to teens, and then I used to love Nancy Drew and Enid Blyton and all back then. So books have always been my best friends, like literally from childhood. And I love reading it because I feel I've traveled to their life for that bit. So it's like an escapism for me. So I love books.
And when did, reading for reviewing become part of your career plan, path, whatever?
It happened coincidentally in COVID. So
Okay.
I was anyways reading, and anyways Instagram was something that I enjoyed doing. For me, Instagram is more like a digital media, a social scrapbook, if I may say. I don't take it that seriously how people tend to be like, oh, it's a platform to reach out to people. I do what I like, and if it's good, it'll be reached out and whatever. So it's like a digital scrapbook that I'm maintaining. And during COVID, I just started putting the reviews of the books that I was reading. And when that converted into a profession, I didn't even realize it was like I was getting books to review and all of it.
What do you enjoy reading the most?
Romantic. My first genre that I love is romantic. Something really nice, lovey-dovey story, and something that does not exist kind of romance.
Ah. So Mr. Darcy and all that
Oh,
kind
yeah,
of,
yeah, yeah.
Bridgerton kind
Yeah,
of,
yeah.
the Georgette hair.
All of that. Those are like my favorite. I laugh over them. I might find it like I may be very sarcastic about it, but I really enjoy. They're like a breather between the heavy books that I enjoy reading.
Yeah, that's lovely. Ever tempted to write your own?
Tempted to write a lot. It's like I have too many stories in my head, but I just don't have the discipline to write. I have the discipline to read, but I don't have the discipline to write a book.
A girl like you who does so many things, 500 words a day, shouldn't be much.
Ideally, it shouldn't. So I open the many a times when I'm really motivated, like maybe when I meet you and I'm like, oh, okay, you know what, today I'm motivated. 500 pages wouldn't be difficult. 500 words,
500 pages would be difficult.
But when I open, I have started thinking about, oh, the book is released and the book launch happened and it became a bestseller. I'm already in a la la land and the time is gone. I'm like, okay, I'm going to write later.
Ah.
So yeah, that's what happens with me. Or I'll be always stuck, like, because I have the start and I don't have the end point, so I'm like stuck on it many a times. And yeah,
You don't
that's
need
why-
the end point.
See, now today I'm again motivated.
You don't need it. You just need to start.
I'm always stuck only because of no end point, because I have the stories in my head, but I don't know where is it going to go after the start.
So none of my books have an end point when I start them.
Okay, I'm motivated. Maybe
Yeah.
I might just message you tonight saying
Yes.
there's 500 words
Yes.
written.
And I will message you, have you done your 500 words today, Shweta? What are the books you absolutely cannot read but must read?
The books sometimes that I have to review, so I don't want to read, but because sometimes, you know, when you start a book within a few pages, you know
No.
that this is not that you want to read, and not like not want to read right now. You don't want to read
Ever in your
at
life.
all. But then you have to read, and I also have a problem. I can't leave books unfinished. I don't know why. Though I know I am like troubling myself reading it, but I just can't leave them unfinished. So sometimes when I see a really hefty book, I really get scared and petrified to start it, because I'm like, what if I don't like it? Then what?
When I crossed 40, I realized life is too short to waste reading books which don't matter to you. Then I gave myself permission after 3 pages, chuck, politely.
I'm gonna try that. Let's see.
You should.
I'm gonna definitely try that. I've
If
always
you
tried
have
that.
no obligation to read it, please don't.
No, it's been so many times, like, I have tried, and then I felt really bad that, oh my god, that writer has sat and written and given it the time. How can I leave it in half? And it's like as if, those animated emoticons come from the book, and I'm like, no, okay, I'll just read. And I've taken sometimes 40 days and 50 days to finish a book because I can't leave it unfinished.
No, that's too much torture.
It
mean,
is.
you have to value yourself and your time more.
Next time, maybe I'm gonna try this thing once again, that, if I'm not obligated to finish a book, that let me try.
You should, because at the end of the day, see, not every book is meant for you.
True.
Let's be honest. Some books are not meant for you. Some people love mythology. I don't get it at all. So it's not meant for me. I'm not going to force myself to read it. And some people, like you love romance. I haven't read a Mills and Bones since I think school days, when they took 6 pages to one kiss, and I'm saying like, abhi aage kya? So I don't think I've read romance after that. I've written romance, but I've not read romance. So some things are not meant for you. It's
True.
okay. Give yourself permission.
I will try. 2 things I'm going to try today after this podcast. One, writing 500 words, and second, giving myself permission to not read a book that I'm not enjoying.
Absolutely. I'm going to hold you to that. What about the acting? What's coming up now? Theatre-wise?
There
Anything?
is a play that we were supposed to do, but then because of a hiccup, it's pushed to later. Followers. So hopefully that is something that would be coming up soon. It's a play on that how the digital media is become important for us, like to reach and to promote anything. It is all about digital media, whether it is a truth that needs to be promoted or it is just something randomly. So that is something. Let's see. Fingers crossed. Hopefully that will come up soon.
And what's happening with the restaurants? I believe you're going into cloud kitchens now.
A few cloud kitchens that I wanted to do, some concepts. So working on that, and hopefully, fingers crossed, they all work and they do well. Let's see. Right now,
I'm sure. What cuisine are you looking at? The same cuisine as
same
the
cuisine, Indian Mughlai food.
Indian
Yeah.
Mughlai. And looking at doing an innovation, fusion food or anything, or sticking to the tried and tested?
No. Sticking to the tried and tested, just conceptualizing them in a different way, because I personally feel I don't get good Indian food around. So I'm sticking to that only, because right now the trend of Asian and the Italian food is so much that you get the best of it there. But when it comes to Indian, I don't really see good Indian food that I have enjoyed. So I'm sticking to that, but just trying to conceptualize it in a different way and see what different stuff I can do around it.
Lovely. I like the fact that you mentioned you don't get good Indian food, because personally, I'm not a great food connoisseur or anything. I just like something good. But to get a good butter chicken,
Yeah.
which is a basic dish, is so difficult.
But that is
Why?
true. I don't know why. Because for some reason, like for me, it was like every time I went out, also it would be like, oh, I want to eat a Chinese or something. Because I was like, no, a good butter chicken or a good biryani is
Biryani.
not good out. So I rather eat that at home. But then now, thanks to us, there's good food out there. Good Indian food.
Soon. Already launched or?
Right now, also the restaurants we're doing is all Indian.
Indian.
So yeah, so the good Indian food is already out there.
You want to name the restaurant?
I would love to. So, Kareem's, Kareems, be it Bandra, be it Andheri Lokhandwala or Andheri East. If you want good Indian food, it's right here. Good butter chicken, dal makhani and biryanis.
Yeah, and I can vouch for that because I've ordered from there.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for your time, Shweta. This was lovely. All the very best with the place to come, with the painting, with the books, and with the butter chicken.
Thank you so much. This is glad because first we did a chitter chatter on my platform, which was an Insta Live, and now finally, personally, we've done this. So thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure completely.